ladies and gentlemen, it's Jem here in the Colour Cave where we like to play with art stuff. We are back for another instalment of our colour along in Kerby Rosanes Animorphia. And I have taken this opportunity. I am between jobs with my actual work today, and I have a gap of an hour or so, so I thought I would try and squeeze in a colour along. The weather's pretty bad. We are due some very heavy winds and the rain has just started, so I don't think the wind's far away. So let's cheer ourselves up with a little bit of colouring. I'm just going to get straight into it, and I'm going to do a few more scales on our fish and maybe his face to get us started off. Once again, just for your own records, the colours that we have are lilac, which is PC956, dioxazine purple hue, which is PC132, and we have Parma violet, which is PC1008. So I think what I'll do is I'll just start along the bottom here, and I'll just carry on with some of the scales as I had been doing, and just see if we can get a few of these battered out, as it were. That's a good Scottish phrase, get it battered out. I don't know what you would say instead. Pumped out? I don't know. So we're just working between the darkest colour, which is the dioxazine purple, and the Parma violet, if you remember. I'm not going to spend too much time explaining myself, because if you haven't got the hang of it by now, well, you know, then maybe you should find another pursuit. Get that right in there. So yes, I was out this morning at a morning milking, and I was taking milk samples to be analysed, which is part of my actual job. And when I say actual job, I mean not at the farm, I mean my own work. So yeah, I was away collecting some milk samples this morning, so I got up at the delightful time of 10 to 4 this morning. So I have a few hours break now, and then I am back out. Hopefully the wind isn't going to hamper me in any way, and I am going to another farm this afternoon to do the same thing. It's a much bigger farm and a much bigger herd, so I'm going to be there for maybe 6 or 7 hours all in. So that's delightful. But it's okay. I only have one day a month where I'm out like this, you know, when I'm out really early in the morning and I'm still working late on at night. So it's actually not too bad. Okay, there we go. That's a good start. Now I'm going to take my lilac and I'm just going to fill in this section down here using a light hand, just really joining it up with what I had already. And I'm going to take the Parma violet and just sort of blend that in a little bit with the scales, and then go back to the lilac. There we go, that looks pretty good. Now when it comes to this front section here, we're going to have to start graduating the colour up the same way as we did over this side. So I'm just going to pop a tiny bit of the dioxazine. Now bear in mind we do have a very light coat of lilac already on here. So I'll just do these 3 to begin with. And then I'm going to take my Parma violet. And I'm taking that almost to the edge of each scale, but not quite. And then take my lilac. And I'm going to blend in a little bit of lilac there. And I'm going to go back to the Parma violet. And this scale in at his neck, I'm just going to put a line of the dioxazine right the way across because it's tucked in behind his gill. I think this one as well deserves a bit of the old dioxazine right in there. the Parma Violet. Now when you're doing these scales, it's down to you to step back and look. Once you've done a couple, step back and see where you need to, you know, put a bit more of a gradient on it. And you just have to do that by eye. There's no sort of right or wrong way to do that, if I'm honest. The likes of when I come up to this one here, I'm starting with the Parma I'm not using the dioxazine at all now. Now my highlight area, I know you can't see it on camera, but my highlight area starts there. So I'm kind of trying to work towards that. A little bit. And then here, I can just graduate that out to the highlight, and the same with this one. Different people have different ways of working when it comes to things like this, but I usually start at either end, and I'm sure I did that over that side, and then I just try and sort of join them together. That seems to work quite well for me. In the highlighted area here, I am laying down a little bit more of the lilac, but it is just very, very light. I do still want there to be pigment on the paper, but you know, I don't want the sort of stark white of the paper to be shown through. But I don't want to destroy that nice highlight. So I've decided I'm just going to work my way along this highlighted area because I think it's important for me to get this in just now so I don't lose my way. Because this one's a little bit lower down, I'm just going to put a touch of the Parma Violet in there. And I'm going to do the same with this one. Just back to my lilac here. Kind of struggling to see where my highlight is here. It's starting to disappear. The other thing that I've had to do today is it is 9:51 AM and I have had to crack out my ring light because there is not enough daylight to work by. That's depressing. It feels like the middle of the night. I've got just about every light on in the house. And it's just because it's so dark and dreary outside. But see, we were supposed to be having gale force winds, and so far, that was supposed to start at 8, sorry, and we haven't had a sign of anything yet. But, as I've said that, the wind is actually starting to pick up outside. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. As I say, we are used to wind, but just not that much wind. It might be okay, we'll see. We did take the liberty of sort of pinning everything down last night because we did have wind during the night as well. So our summer garden furniture has now been put away for the autumn, which it kind of makes me a little bit sad. It's like, oh man, summer's definitely gone. But yeah, that was needing done anyway, so we thought that last night was probably the best time to do it, seeing as there was a chance that we were going to get some heftier weather coming in. All in a day's work in Scotland. There seems to have been quite a lot of adverse weather all over. Obviously extend a thought to our friends in the Carolinas in the US who are now dealing with the aftermath of the storm that they had, and you know, that's pretty horrendous by anybody's standards. Also, there's been storms in the Philippines and China, I do believe, as well. I was reading in the news. So it's not, you know, isolated. It is sort of spreading itself about now. And I think as the years go on, we're going to get more and more extreme weather, more adverse weather conditions. I think it's going to get worse. Our winter here at the beginning of this year is a prime example of that. I have never, in my 30 odd years on the planet, I have never seen as much snow as we had this year. And the fact that I was snowed in for quite a lot of it as well made me a bit more sort of downtrodden about it. For those of you who have been subscribed to the channel from the beginning, you may remember me talking about it and showing you the picture outside the window, which was basically just a wall of snow on the window. You couldn't actually see out the window. So yeah, I don't know if we're going to get much more of that this year. It tends to be, though, our winters tend to start in January, February and go into like what we used to call spring. But it's now turning into winter until about April. So we just have to wait and see with that. Wow, I'm cheery today, aren't I? It must be the weather affecting me. Okay, so let me just see where my... I'm kind of struggling to see where my highlighted area is here. I'm going to have to probably... Once I've finished all the scales, I'm probably going to have to go back and just sort of tidy up a few, because I'm not entirely sure. I was obviously too light-handed when I was putting that first guideline down, because I can't see anything, really. Oh no, there we go, I found a little patch there, yay. Okay, so that's quite rough, but that we can work with. Now, if you remember when I was doing the top side, I actually started with the lilac. If I just reference this side of the page, I started with the lilac and brought it down, and then I put in a little bit of the Parma Violet, and lastly that very, very thin line of the darkest colour, which was the dioxazine. So I'm going to do that again, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm just going to give my pencil a bit of a sharpen. It's quite funny, the last video, the last colouring for beginners video that I put out, I was quite surprised at the number of you that aren't new colourists but liked the tips on sharpening your pencils, so that was quite good. It was one of those videos where I swithered about making it at all, because I thought, you know, this might be quite redundant. There's quite a lot of those types of videos already out there, and you know, I don't like to go over old ground. If there's something that's been done and it's been done well on YouTube, I will always point you in the direction of it. I won't just spit out a video for the sake of spitting out a video. But I'm pleased that a number of you found that useful, even though you aren't novice colourists. So yeah, that was quite nice. Okay, so I've got a nice little layer there of the lilac, and I'm going in with my Parma Violet. Now again, I've sharpened my pencil up, it is quite sharp. And I'm not going to go into his head just yet, I'm going to deal with that separately, but I'm just going to lightly blush in a wee bit more of this. I've been working quite a lot in ink these last few weeks, even in my own personal drawings, and it's so nice to come back to pencil because of the versatility of it and the fact that you can go back in and go over things. I've really missed that, and you know, when you're working in ink, that is a luxury that you are sort of robbed of. So coming back to do some stuff in pencil is so nice, because I'm looking at this thinking, I don't know how much more I'm going to put on this, and I'm like, yeah, I can come back to it later. So good. Never underestimate the power of pencils. This is kind of like a fold up here, so I'm going to make that quite dark in there with the Parma Violet. There we go, and I'm just starting to blend the Parma Violet into the little sort of squish of dioxazine that I put in there. There we go, that's fabby. Yeah, I'm happy with that just now. Excuse me. Now, using the lilac here, this is me, I'm going to bring this edge down to create that more defined highlighted area. And do that all the way along. Up in here as well. And then I can start building up a wee bit of the lilac on that bottom part now that I've coloured in those scales. Take it to about there. Yeah, there we go. Now see, because I have done this part and this part, this gives me a better idea of what I need to do in the middle. So I'm just going to do these next couple of scales here and we'll colour in our shiny penny, and then I'm going to move on to something else. So with this one, I'm going to start with my middle colour, Parma Violet. I'm just going to put a light layer down. And I am going to tuck some of this dioxazine in here. And back to my Parma Violet again. And I'm just going to leave that lip round the outside, and then I'm going to whack some of my lilac in there. Ooh, just like that. Good. Now with this one, I'm using the lilac, and I'm going to leave a little white edge just at the top there, and I'm going to use my Parma Violet in here. Get that up and round. And go back to my lilac just to finish this off. Lovely, and that gives us a much nicer sort of transition between these dark scales at the bottom, and I've got a little white bit there, get that filled in, and the next row up, which is the, you know, going into the highlighted row. I feel like this one should be really dark in front of the penny, just get that feeling, so I'm just going to go for it. Oh yeah, the wind's picking up now. I don't think you'll be able to hear that, but the wind's getting pretty wild out there. Someone was saying it's supposed to be 80-mile-an-hour gusts. That's pretty windy. So it'll be interesting to see. We have a lot of very large trees around us, being on a farm. So we may have a few branches and things come down. But I'm pretty sure that most of the trees are 100 years old plus, if not more than that. And I think their roots are, you know, it would take a lot to uproot most of them. There may be one or two that would come up, the smaller ones, but it's the branches that are the problem, it's not the actual trees. Okay, a little bit of Parma Violet in here. And my lilac. I'm just going to do these two, so I might as well finish off that little section. So I'm just using the lilac here. And I'm just letting off the pencil as I get near the top of the scale towards that light source. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing with this one. If I feel that there's too much in the way of highlight, once I've finished colouring in all the scales, I can go back in and fill some of them in if I think it's too highlighty. Highlighty, goodness me. Okay, so there's another little bit of scales, and that's actually quite a lot now that I look at it, so that's pretty good. But I'm not wanting to sit and colour with purple pencil all day, so I'm going to put those to the side. The next three colours I have are the greens that we've used over here. We've used these in varying spots, so what I wanted to do was decide where on this picture that I'm going to put those. So my thinking is that this part here, I'm going to make it like a, you know, like a vine type thing. So this part and this part, and there's a few bits down the bottom here as well. And it's really just trying to keep some continuity. That's what I'm going for. So I'm going to do that next. So the colours that we used for those were Chartreuse, which is PC989, Apple Green, PC912. Look at my little apple green. Oh, goodness me, chucking stuff about. And also our grass green, which is PC909. I may have to get my pencil extender out for this. We'll see how we go. So for this top section, I am going to work in the sections that are there. Now, bearing in mind we have a light source coming from this direction, we're wanting to get a similar sheen on that as with our scales down here. So I'm going to take the chartreuse and I am just going to put down a wee light layer of that all over this sort of tubular shape. I don't actually know what it's supposed to be, but I'm making it green. My picture, do what I want. Okay, so there we go. I've got a light layer of the chartreuse. Now I'm thinking that we're going to give this a bit more depth and make the sections look as if they fit inside each other. So what I need for this is, number one, a really sharp pencil. I don't have much left to sharpen. So this is my apple green. And what I'm going to do is, thinking about the light, I am going to put in a little bit down these sections. I'll maybe zoom in a bit more so you can see better. There we go. So I'm just putting a little bit of this in here. Now we will darken this down as we go. This is just to begin with. I'm going to make that one all green because it's kind of tucked in behind. And if the light's coming from this direction, this underside is going to be a lot darker. So I'm just going across the way there. So thinking about the light. There we go. Doesn't look great on the camera. That the chartreuse doesn't show up too well on the camera, but even you can see that there's a light part along the top and there's a darker part underneath. So a bit like we did with the top of our fish body here, I'm going to take the what's left of my grass green and I'm just going to put a really fine line along this bottom edge of this shape. And maybe fill in some of this in here too. Okay, that looks pretty good. And back to my grass green now. So I'm going to blend out the top edge of that. And just go back over the areas that I've already done with this apple green. Just make it a little bit more vibrant. Make it funky. I really like these three colours together. It's not three colours I would normally have put together either, but it seems to do the job. All good. There we go, now we're getting somewhere. And lastly, I'm going to take my chartreuse and I'm just going to blend that apple green out into the parts that we'd coloured already back at the beginning. And I'm going to leave just a little white edge all the way along the top. Well, it's actually not a white edge because there is chartreuse down, but I'm going to leave it pale to give us that little highlight. Smoosh everything together. Way. Fabulous. Now, I'm not quite happy with the fact that I just still don't have an awful lot of definition between these sections, so I'm going back in with that grass green and I'm just going to make that a little bit more obvious. I may even go to a darker pencil should I feel the need, and then just kind of blend out the edges with the apple green again. Yeah, that's better. I'm a bit happier with that already. Happy days. All right, lovely. So let's move on to this part up here. Same thing again, I'm just going to whack down chartreuse all over it. Light hand, little circles, just get a layer of it on the paper. That's one of the nice things about Kerby's drawings, is you can pretty much make these anything that you want. Okay, so I'm going to use my apple green now, and I am going to put in my solid lines. If you remember, this is what I did, and I left them quite harsh, i.e. I didn't blend them out. That's maybe a bit too harsh, but hey, oops. With it being at the corner of the picture, I'm really not too bothered, not too fussed. Right, and I'm going to go back with the chartreuse now and trying to keep away from that apple green. Just going to fill in the rest of the plant. I'll just call it a plant, it's good enough for me. Fronds, seaweed, under seaweed. There we go, good stuff. Now because this has a sort of frilly edge to it that we haven't had in any of the previous ones, I'm going to do the same with this, but I'm going to pop a little bit of the darkest green just at the tips, and it's really just to make it, you know, a bit more interesting. I'll do this little guy down here first. There we go. So what I'll do is I'm going to take the apple green, and with a light hand, just these finger parts, I'm going to fill these in. Just lay a little bit of that down. This is going to stand out really nicely against this orange fin. There we go. And then down this bottom edge, I'm just going to carry this on to get my line. Yeah, that's going to work nicely here. Okay, so now using the grass green, just at the very tip of each of the fingers, if you like, and just blend that out into the apple green. Work our way around here. Alright, that looks pretty good. So I'm going back with the apple green now. And I'm just going to blend that down these little fingers. And then with the chartreuse, join it all together. Voila! Again, I'm keeping this white edge around here as much as possible, just in keeping with the, you know, the other ones that we've already done. It's no disaster if you don't, or if you don't want to, that's fine too. Do what feels right. There we go. Again, that little tiny sliver of white is going to stand out really well when we put in our pastel background. Okay, I'm going down to this bottom corner now. I've got a little diddly one here. There's a few other, there's this kind of leafy thing which I kind of feel as if it's part of this. And not entirely convinced, but we're going to do these two the same anyway. So, tickle it with the chartreuse. Just do these ones here as well. And take my apple green. Now I'm not going to lose too much sleep over this because this is pretty tiny, but once again, in the interests of continuity, just try and squeeze in what I can. A sharp pencil will naturally help you with this, and I'll go in with this chartreuse again. There we go. Now here, I think we'll go with the same principles we did on our sort of fingery fronds up the top. So I'm going to use the apple green, and I'm going to lay some of that down from the tip of each of these leaves down towards the stalk or the stem, like this. And then I'm going to take the grass green and we will just pop a little bit of that in. This reminds me so much of colouring in Johanna Basford's books. She does have an awful lot of greenery in her books, which will also be the case with her upcoming book, World of Flowers, which isn't far away. And yeah, I spend a lot of time using this exact gradient, not with this pencil combination, but yeah, I spend a lot of time with that. So if I'm channeling my inner my inner Johanna. Who'd have thunk it? But there's a reason, it looks nice. There we go, and then just the chartreuse to join it all together, tidy it up, blend it in, all the bit, blah de blah. You know the drill by now. So I'm thinking that we'll probably have 2 more videos and this shall be complete. And when it comes to the last video, which will be when I do the pastel background, I will also show you the books that I have for the next colour along, and I'm all up for a democracy. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a couple of suggestions, and I would like you to vote on which book is going to be the next one for our colour along. But I say I'll deal with that in the last video when we're finished here. I'm just going to do these little fronds down here as well. Now if you remember, over this side I ended up doing them purple just because, so I am going to continue in that vein. If you didn't do it in purple, then pick whatever colours you like. So I'm just going to put a layer of lilac down because that is my lightest colour. There we go. And I'm just going to do a simple gradient from dark in underneath the sea foam out to the lilac. So I'm going to go in with my Parma Violet next. Like this. Rough idea of where I'm putting the colours, and then a little bit of dioxazine right in at the bottom. Not too heavy with this now. There we go. Back to the Parma Violet. Blend it out. And lastly, my lilac. Lilac. I always think when you put down those other 2 colours, the lilac looks really pink next to it. And I know it's not pink, but it looks pink. Okay, lovely. I'm going to colour my Kerby creatures and also my stars. So I am going to my neon pencils for my Kerby creatures. And for the stars, we used Canary Yellow and Sunburst Yellow. So I'll just dig them out. So Sunburst Yellow is PC 917 and the Canary Yellow is PC 116. Now this says LF, that's because it's one of the light fast pencils, but it's exactly the same colour. And I am just going to start at the top here. And I'm going to make this one pink. So much fun with these. I was trying to think of inventive ways to use these neon pencils because I really don't use them at all. And so far I haven't really come up with anything that's, you know, remotely sensible. I was thinking maybe drawing like a, you know, like a 90s rave or like a roller disco character, and I could use them for clothes on that, but that's about as far as I've got with that idea. Or like something sort of cyberpunky, I don't know. Or a really big mohawk. Yes, like an 80s mohawk. There we go. I'm gonna have to draw a guy with a mohawk. Then I can use my neon pencils. Oh, he looks so cute. This kind of reminds me of one of those toys that, I don't know what they're called, but you twist them and they kind of jiggle about and judder about on the floor, and they've got all these points on them. If anybody knows what they're called, put it in the comments. That's what that reminds me of. I don't know why that means I have to make him yellow, but that's what's happening. That is happening. Now what I am going to do is I am going to take a darker shade of yellow. I might even use the chartreuse just to create some shadows in all these little sort of corner bits. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to test that theory out just on a scrap piece of paper here to see how it's going to look, to see if they're going to go together. So there is the neon. Oh, you cannot see that on the camera, that's ridiculous, but it does dull it down a little bit. They don't go, well, I mean, there's not a lot of matching that goes on. I don't, if I tilt it a certain way, can you see where I've put the chartreuse on it at this side? That's kind of what I'm going to do, just to get, see, give him a little bit of shadow around those knobbly bits of his, or hers. So that's one of the reasons I think why I don't use the neon pencils, because it's very difficult to get things that go with them, if you know what I mean. You know, in terms, because normally when we're colouring, you don't, unless you're just block colouring, which I would tend to do if I was colouring in maybe patterns, you know, like mandalas or something, which I absolutely detest. I hate repetitive patterns, so it's not something I would do anyway. But if I were to do it, then maybe I'd use my neon pencils, because I would likely block colour some of it. There have been a few colouring books. Most of you know that I'm working front to back in Johanna Basford's Enchanted Forest, and there's a few pages in that has items on it, and they're not even a repeated pattern, but they are very similar, and I was absolutely bored to tears. There's one with acorns on it, and honestly after that I never want to see another acorn again. I just don't like patterns. This guy's drunk. Look what I did with his eyes. Or maybe he's just a little bit crazy. Maybe he's a little bit crazy. Yeah, so patterns are not for me. I know a lot of people find them quite therapeutic because there's no thought involved. You know, if you really just want to relax and chill out, they're supposed to be very good for that. However, with me having a really short attention span and being easily bored, that it's just not something that I'm into. I have tried them before, but that's the kind of thing I would do if I was, like when I was at university, and if I was in a really long boring lecture, that's something that I would do there, because I could still half listen to what the lecturer was saying, but there was something to actually keep me occupied as well. And I do that quite a lot. I am a bit of a multitasker. I like to have, you know, my hands have to be doing something, and if my hands are doing something quite a lot of the time, I need something else for my ears. And as I say, I get bored really easily, so I have to have lots of variety. And that's why I love Kerby's books, because you never get bored colouring Kerby's books. All right, I've got a couple of stars here, and I'm just going to give them some eyes. Oh, so cute. And there's another little dude over here, might as well just... I think that one's too small, actually. Okay, so we want a layer of the kind of hairy yellow. And I'm using the sunburst yellow to put these little lines in a sort of sunburst shape, which is amusing. Or convenient, I suppose, not amusing. Darken that down a little bit. And again, stuff like this, I'm not taking a huge amount of care over it, because it's not really that exciting, let's be real. There we go. Left a little bit of white on this side here, because that's where our light source is coming from. Let's pop back over to the other one. and take my sunburst yellow and give him some lines. I'll make this section a little bit darker. And then go back with the canary yellow and just fill that in. There we go, super stuff. Okay, this little guy, I think I'm going to make him purple because he's kind of in the same vein as the as you know, this little chap here. He's kind of looks as if he's come from the same sort of general direction, and plus because he has scales, I feel like he should match the big fish. So we're going to do him purple, but I've got some Kerby creatures down the bottom here. There's quite a few down here. Oh, I've missed a star down the bottom here too. Oh my goodness. Okay, so I think we'll make this one pink. He's peeking out from behind the sea foam. He's a happy chap though. That's obviously a good hidey hole. Makes you wonder if this is an ocean scene and these little dudes are floating about down here. I wonder what eats Kerby creatures. Or did the contents of the ocean just leave them alone because they're so weird and... Nah, that's not going to happen. They must have some sort of predator, so... Might have to design a fish that eats Kerby creatures. Or is that cruel? I don't know. This little guy is my absolute favourite. He is my absolute favourite. And I'm going to give him really dark blue horns. I had made my mind up about that a long time ago. But I'm going to make him orange because he kind of looks like a space hopper too. If you remember the conversation from about 5 videos back about space hoppers, he looks like a space hopper. I love his little smile as well, it's awesome. He's really funny. Just leaving him a little bit of a shine at the top there. Now for his horns, I'll find my colour list. Yeah, peacock, blue and indigo, so I'm just going to dig that out. I've got indigo, which is PC 901. Peacock blue, which is PC 1027. So starting with the peacock. Okay, just testing that out. There we go, look, yeah. He looks like he deserves those horns. And just a sliver of the indigo down the bottom. I have inadvertently made him iron brew colours. Now for our friends that are not in the UK, iron brew is a carbonated drink that tastes like nothing you've ever tasted, and it used to be you only got it in Scotland, but you can get it in the rest of the UK now. But it has a very unique flavour and the colours on the packaging are orange and blue. So I have made myself an iron brew Kerby creature. Incidentally, if you ever visit the UK, you have to try iron brew. It's one of those things you either love it or you hate it, but you can't, it doesn't taste like anything. You couldn't say, oh, that tastes like strawberries, or it's a taste all of its own. It's very unique. And we're strangely patriotic about it, even though it's fizzy and it's full of sugar. But we do like it. Apparently, legend has it that iron brew is a very good hangover cure. I would disagree with that personally, but some people seem to find that it works for them. It's just fizzy juice. I think it's more the sugar in it that helps with the hangover rather than the formulation of the drink itself. But you get iron brew flavoured sweets and you know, all that sort of stuff as well. Our local bakery actually make donuts with iron brew icing on them, and they've dyed the icing, you know, it's got colouring in it to be orange and blue, and they are absolutely fabulous. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but I do like those donuts. And you can actually order them online now. The bakery have a website and you can order them online and get them delivered to your house. I'm like, that's a really bad idea. That's how to get fat really quickly. Whew. Okay, last little guy's peeking out from in here. He's also happy because he's got a hiding place from whatever eats Kerby creatures too. Oh, look at him. He's so cute. I feel like I should have made him yellow. Oh well, too late now. Okay, just while we're up here, this penny, I am going to make mine the same colours as my little stars, my little starfish. However, I'm going to lean more heavily on the sunburst yellow than the canary yellow. So what I want to do is I am going to use the sunburst yellow, and I'm pressing quite hard, and I'm just going to get that in like this. And then I'm gonna, oh no, that's the, oh good, I nearly had a disaster there. That's the neon yellow. Whew, dodged a bullet there. With my canary yellow, I'm just gonna fill in this little bit in the middle. Now round this outside edge, again thinking about where our light source is coming from, I'm going to make each edge of the rim the sunburst, and then after that I am going to go in with the canary and just sort of bring that together and leave a tiny white bit at the end. Now I'm just going to lift this up to show you instead of zooming in and out. But can you see what I've done there? And where Kerby has left those hatch lines in the underside of the rim in here, I've just put a tiny little bit of the sunburst in there just to darken it down and make it look as if it's a bit of a shadow. Okie dokie, that looks pretty good to me. God, so many pencils, so many pencils. Right, I'm going to do this little starfish dude down here. He's looking up at everybody like, yay, aren't we great? It says a lot that I've made most of these creatures happy looking. That probably speaks volumes about me as a person. I am generally quite a cheery person. I have a sunny disposition, so maybe that's influenced it quite a lot. But if I was living in with all these lovely pretty fish as well, I think I'd be happy too. I finally have a nail appointment as well. You can see my nails are just absolutely horrendous. My pinky nails have disappeared altogether, but they have grown out so far. I couldn't get an appointment because my salon lady has been away on holiday, so I only have 2 days to go, and then I'm going to have considerably less disgusting nails, which makes me happy. I know you guys probably don't bother, but don't judge me. Don't judge me. Okay, we're going to do this little boat. So again, I'm reusing colours that we used over the other side, which were artichoke, ginger root and eggshell, to get that sort of nice papery effect. So we have to think a little bit about the light source again here, but first of all I'm just going to give everything a wee layer of eggshell. Get us started off like that. So the light's going to be shining in there from that direction, so this part in here is going to be dark, and this is going to be in shadow as well. There we go. Whereas this side is going to be light, so I'm just going to use the ginger root sparingly here. And then top that up with some eggshell. Now this is a little bit different because it's going to be at an angle. So really I think that this should all be dark, I would say, but just to make it a little bit more interesting, I'm only going to bring the artichoke up to that line, and I'm going to make this side dark. Put a little bit more of the artichoke down the bottom and then go to the ginger root, blend it in up towards the top. There we go. And leave a little bit white at this corner again just to make it interesting. Yeah. Okay, and we go back to the purples. And we'll do this little guy while we're here. So we're starting with the lilac, like this. Lilac all over. And then I'm going to take my Parma Violet. The light's going to be hitting him from this direction, so basically we're working in a gradient from this side over to this side. And just a little bit on his underside here as well. So a Parma Violet and the dioxazine. We're so familiar with these colours now. If you're actually colouring along with this, you're going to have this colour combo like absolutely etched in your brain for the rest of your life. You'll never forget it. There, blend that together now with my Parma Violet. And then I can take my lilac, do this little nose area. It's not really a nose, is it? And just go over everything I've done to bring it all together, smooth it out a little bit. There we go. Oh, he's a handsome little tadpole. And we will move over to this guy up here as well. It's got a funny little, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Oops. So same principle here. Just do a little bit of purple. Purple, purple, everything's purple. Get the lilac down first. And then take the Parma Violet. Now he's clearly got an overbite, so that is going to be dark under there. And I think this will be dark under here too, because that's kind of under his chin. And down here as well. Take the dioxazine and get those shadow areas in. Put a little bit in there. See under his little chin, he's got this kind of jowly bit. Oh, I like this. Right, now with the lilac here, I was going to go in with the lilac, but I'm not. There's not enough Parma Violet for my liking, so I'm just going to do that first. Join this stuff together. There we go, and then I'm going to take my lilac. Bring that right up. Smooth it out a little bit. There we go, super, 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 super. Just to finish off while I've got my purples out, I'm just going to do a few more scales. This is, as I was saying before, this is the key to parts like this, is just to chip away at them. It's the best thing that you can do because it'll stop you getting bored, and it just makes it seem a little bit more manageable. So we're back into sort of funny scale territory here, because it's tapering up, you know, towards the tail. So we're just going to have to go steady here with this lilac. And, you know, we can always make it darker. And if we've left a highlighted area, we can always erase some of that. And, you know, just to bring the highlight out more if we feel that's what we need to do. It's actually easier to look at it overall once the whole thing's coloured, because you can see quite clearly then where the inconsistencies are. It's like looking at a pattern and one part of the pattern goes the wrong way or it doesn't fit. You know, it stands out a lot more when everything else is done in its uniform. Same sort of principle here. There we go. So I'm just going to kind of try and bring this together a bit more, this section. It is difficult because it's tapered, but we'll get it. Okay, I might leave it at that. And on this bottom scale here, you can see Kerby's put in the little hatching again, so I'm going to make these ones quite dark with my Parma Violet. And there we go. I might even just tuck in a little bit of Parma Violet in the ones above, again just to sort of blend them together a bit better. It's actually quite difficult to get a balance in this particular picture. Scales are fun. I'm not doing anything different here. I'm just jumping between the colours to try and get, bearing in mind that the darkest part's down here and the lightest part's up there. So I'm just trying to strike a balance. I would say to you to take your time when you're doing this. I know I'm kind of speeding through a little bit, but I am quite tight for time today, so. Oh, Mr. Jem must be in for coffee. I can hear whistling. Oh. I'll put a wee bit of dioxazine there. And then just use the Parma Violet. We'll bring this up like that. And he's off again. So I think I'm just going to work along this bottom row here, because I know that these ones are going to be dark, dark, dark. Dark, 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 like this. And then I can go back with my Parma Violet and blend that all out. There we go, that's looking quite good. Now what that lets me do is it lets me finish off this bottom part of the scales. So I'll take my lilac first of all, get a little layer of that down. There we go. And then take the Parma Violet, start blending these scales out into that bottom part. It's kind of like a margin or a border, isn't it? There we go. Now there's a little bit of hatching here, so I'm just going to put a touch of that and make it more interesting. There we go. Blend that out a bit. Alright, that's absolutely lovely. Okay guys, I am going to stop there because I am out of time. So we are coming along quite nicely now. Next time I am hoping that we can get our fish finished and we will do some more of these bits and bobs that are kicking about. There's not an awful lot left. So if we can get that done next video, also fish's head, then our last video will be the background. And we shall see you in the next video. Bye for now guys.